Okay, and welcome to the second lecture for this week. So right now we're going to talk about Lightwright and Vectorworks and getting them to work together. Um, so right now I have Lightwright open on my screen. Lightwright, so Vectorworks for lighting designers and for scene designers gets your paperwork package together, your plans, drawings, all of that sort of stuff. For lighting designers, we also need something to make supplementary files like channel hookups, instrument schedules, dimmer counts, all that sort of stuff that we may want either to hand off to an electrician or for an electrician to see as they're working on our show. So Lightwright is sort of like a file management program for lighting designers. And it's really useful because it also synchronizes with Vectorworks, and I use it also for error checking. Um, and making sure that everything's right. So I have a plot that's an early version of one of my shows, which was Henry IV at Connecticut Repertory Theater. In this show, it was a fairly extensive show, probably a couple hundred lights in the rig, and all sorts of different positions and various fun things all around. So what all I need to do to sync these is I'm going to create an XML file, which is basically an exchange file that Vectorworks and Lightwright will talk to each other over. So the way that I create this special file is I actually go up into Vectorworks. And let's see, it's been a little while since I've had to do this actually, since we've been in the pandemic. I hit Spotlight Preferences. It's not the right thing. Yes, it is. There we go. Lightwright. Sorry, this changed in 2020. So again, that's File, Document Settings, Spotlight Preferences, and you're going to hit Lightwright. Okay? And I usually say same location as File. However, just for the ease of trying to find things quickly, I'm going to put it on my desktop, which has a whole bunch of stuff on it, but I'll put the XML file there. So it's going to go to User Samuel Desktop. And then I'm going to perform a complete export on exit. Make sure that's include inventory. You don't need to worry too much about this unless you're doing something special. And then hit OK. And now it won't seem like anything's happened, but it's just created a special file on your desktop or wherever you decide to save it that you now can access from Lightwright. So if I'm in Lightwright, how I'm going to import this Vectorworks file is I'm going to go up here. I'm going to hit this little Vectorworks symbol. I'm going to say choose Vectorworks XML file. I'm going to hit, this actually is from when I did a show somewhere else. So I'm going to hit desktop. And then it says Henry IV Lighting version 2020 XML file. Hit open. Absolute address, do a complete export, including the absolute address. Okay, apparently I messed up something on Vectorworks. Let me try that one more time. Spotlight preferences. Level fields. So absolute address needs to be added now. That probably is a 2020 thing, so I'm going to leave my little mistake in the video so that you can see. But these are the fields that are going to export. So absolute address, channel, position, dimmer, color, all that. All this is important stuff. Hit OK. Now let's try that. Yeah, we should have done, I'm going to double check, but we should have done a complete export. Perform complete export on exit. Hit OK. And that just resends everything to the XML file. But now these documents are going to be talking in a moment. So I'm going to hit this, and hit open. Great, so now this has everything that it needs. Apparently absolute address is an important thing right now with 2020. So I'm going to hit OK. And this is going to spin the pinwheel of death. And now all of my lights are in Lightwright. Now, what you don't see is that when I'm building my plot, usually I don't do color. When I'm doing the lighting plot, I actually add the color in Lightwright. So the great thing is right now, and you always want to double check this because it's the computers and things break. But the nice thing is if I go between this drawing and if I'm working on an actual design layer, and this is going to crash now because it has too many things it's thinking about at once. This has all sorts of fun stuff for my photometrics. But any data that I'm putting into these lights here is transferring automatically to here. So if I adjust the purpose, if I adjust the color, put a gobo in it, change the channel, add the address, this will sync back and forth. Now you want to make sure that the documents are always syncing back and forth. If they're not, if there is some sort of mismatch when you open a file, it'll actually, Lightwright will say to you, hey, Vectorworks has this information, I have this information, do you want, which one do you choose? And you just select which version you want. But the nice thing is that this has everything in here. Now, you'll notice that not everything is necessarily organized in a way that you would really want, right? So if I organize this by position, which is what it is right now, it has under gallery pipes, then stage left dial, stage right dial, stage left slot, electric 5. Why is that like that? Well, how do I organize these positions? So that's under maintenance. And if you go under position, one thing that I always do here is sometimes there's like extra positions in Vectorworks that you don't need. So I hit remove unused, and that just gets rid of any position that isn't needed. And the next thing I do is I alphabetize everything. And that just gets everything kind of in the right category because I don't really want my first electrics first, right? I kind of want to go front of house, then back of house. So I'm going to do, I'm going to put the high cove because that's front of house position. And then I'm going to do, the house pipes are all going to go on here like this. So I'm sort of, right now I'm deciding, this is when I go to the instrument schedule, this is actually the order that the positions will show up on the instrument schedule. Okay, and so for those of us who are not lighting folks, the instrument schedule will show us a just an overall picture of the information with your lighting equipments by position, whereas the channel hookup will sort the same information basically, but by channel. So it's sort of different things used. Now, I'm not going to go through and sort all these, but you can see how it's important to sort of go through and make sure that all of your positions are in an order that makes sense, right? There's nothing sort of more unprofessional than having like first electric, basement, fifth electric, second electric, ground row, second, third electric. Like it's all sort of out of order. Ironically, there's no third electric in the show because we cut it. So it's really important that you sort of look at your paperwork and make sure that everything's actually presenting the way that you want it to be presented. Because if not, then it just sort of looks sloppy, right? You want it to feel professional and organized. So now my positions are sort of in an order that's a little bit more conducive to what you'd want in a show. So the Lightwright file's really key, and you have to save this as a separate file. So I would save this as a file if I were going to keep this. But then what you're going to want to do is also create PDFs of this paperwork. So the way that you do that, there's two types of paperwork. There's hookups and schedules, which are going to be under File, Print Paperwork. And the way this works is, so I want a channel hookup. I want a complete channel hookup. I don't want a watermark usually. And I'm going to say print it in color. That doesn't need that. And I'm going to hit OK. Okay, and then a printer thing's going to come. It's going to say form printing printer, US letter. I'm going to hit OK. And now I can either decide to print it or I can open as a PDF, which is how I do it. I really actually print it, and then you'll hear a little ding when you do that. It'll scare you if you're in the middle of tech and you do that. And then you'll have your channel hookup automatically set, and this organizes everything by channel. So you're always going to want to do a channel hookup, and then you're also going to want to do an instrument schedule, which is this, and then I'm going to hit OK. Same thing, save as PDF. I don't need to save as PDF, I'm going to open as PDF, but you can save it as PDF as well. And now you have an instrument schedule. And this is organized in the way that we just talked about in the maintenance menu. And in the maintenance menu, you can organize anything. You can organize color, you can organize instrument name, all that sort of stuff. So those are all good things to look at, but now this is organized by position, and it has the load, the channel, and the address obviously is wrong in all of these. So that's all really good stuff. Vectorworks is asking me to back up. I don't need to actually do that. So that's all really good stuff. So in the maintenance menu, it's also good to look at things like color. and organize. Alphabetizing this probably will get you pretty much where you need, right? Because you want to organize in such a way that it has everything that you might want. This also shows sheet sizes of things. So if you want to adjust, how much you need for different sheets, that's an important aspect as well for color. You can also organize purpose, although I don't really know much reason to do that. Instrument type is also another one. And again, this is just about making things feel nice and clean, right? You want everything to feel like it's, organized and orderly and people can find things relatively quickly. So that's that. Now, the other thing that you have to print, and this is an odd thing, is counts. And counts doesn't quite, you'd think it would be under the print paper, but it's not. It's under counting, and then you select the thing you want to count. So I'm going to count color. Okay, and I'm gonna alphabetize this, so that's all alphabetized. And then I'm gonna say report to printer. I'm gonna hit OK. And then the print window is gonna come up again, and you guessed it, PDF. Open a PDF. And now I have color counts for my show. And then I think it gives a little circuit. And this talks about the breakdown stuff that you can talk about per sheet and frame label and all that stuff if you want to get that detailed with color, which is more of a master electrician thing, which I'm happy to talk to any of you about. But yeah, so the color count is important to have, and then also instrument count, which is under, again, utilities, counting, instrument type. I'm going to alphabetize it. Looks like this is a good order. Make sure sending to printer, hit OK. Open and preview. And this has every single light that is on the show. So that's the basics of Lightwright and Vectorworks. At the end of the day, your paperwork packages are going to want to include, when you're sending a file out to a master electrician or anyone with that type of relationship to your show, I always send the PDF of my ground plan section and any other plates of drafting, the Lightwright file, because there's certain tools in there for the ME that they're going to want to use, an instrument schedule, a channel hookup, color counts, instrument counts, and gobo counts. So if you have gobos, that's an important thing to include. So make sure you have at least those items whenever you're turning in any paperwork package. That's a good checklist to start off with. But that's how that works. And the nice thing is now, every time an update happens in Lightwright, if you open up that exchange and you sync that XML file, it'll give you, Lightwright will ask you, do you want to change it in Lightwright or in Vectorworks? And you just select which one you want. And it'll automatically update that in either Vectorworks or Lightwright, whichever one has to. So this is how I use Lightwright. I don't do too much editing. You can edit everything in the fields here. Like I said, I mostly use that for color or purpose or fixing stuff, right? Because I can kind of see, like, if I have 2 unit 2s and house pipe 1, then I know that I've made some other mistake. So I use this to error check and make sure that everything kind of looks right. Do I have all my areas correct? It's just sort of another thing to look at. So that's the introduction to Lightwright. In this week's assignment, you'll submit your Lightwright file and the PDFs that I talked about, as well as your Vectorworks file and your PDF plans. So have fun with all of that.